Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
It's great to be here.
Today, we're tackling this idea that's been making the rounds online, the idea that slow is the new fast.
Yeah, I see that popping up quite a bit lately.
I first came across it in a LinkedIn post by Justin Welsh.
Oh yeah, Justin Welsh, he's the guy who helps solopreneurs build fulfilling lives and businesses, right?
Exactly. He's all about helping solopreneurs create a business that works for them instead of the other way around. And his whole premise with this slow is the new fast thing is that, well, in today's world, everyone's telling you to hustle and grind and go, go, go. But he thinks that might actually be holding us back.
That's interesting.
He actually compares entrepreneurship to a marathon, not a sprint.
I like that analogy.
So instead of burning ourselves out trying to do everything at once, he suggests that we focus on pacing ourselves, on building our brand, our network, and our business slowly and thoughtfully.
So it's about being more strategic with our time and energy.
Exactly. And that's what's so intriguing about this whole idea. It's like it goes against everything we're told about success in the business world.
Right, we're conditioned to think that faster is always better, but maybe, just maybe, there's a better way.
Okay, so let's dive into this a little deeper.
Let's do it.
So the core argument here is that slow is the new fast.
Exactly.
But how can slow actually lead to faster or greater success?
It's all about sustainability, right?
Okay, I'm listening.
If you're constantly hustling and grinding, you're eventually going to burn out.
You'll hit a wall.
Right. And then you'll have to take time off to recover, which sets you back even further.
Because it's like taking one step forward and two steps back.
Exactly. But if you pace yourself from the beginning, if you focus on building a solid foundation and working sustainably, you'll be able to keep going for the long haul.
I see. It's about consistency and longevity.
And that's what ultimately leads to greater success.
Okay, I'm starting to see the logic here.
It's like the tortoise and the hare, right?
Yeah, slow and steady wins the race.
Exactly. And this actually reminds me of a comment I saw on Justin Welsh's post.
Oh, yeah.
It was by Famid Azad. He's an entrepreneur and investor. And he said, true progress is made through sustainable efforts.
That's a great quote.
And it really highlights the point that we're making here. You can't sprint your way to sustainable success.
You need to find a pace that you can maintain over time.
And that allows you to enjoy the journey along the way.
So it's not just about the destination.
It's also about the journey.
And one of the key aspects of this slow is the new fast philosophy that Justin Welsh highlights in his post, is the importance of building a strong foundation. And he specifically mentions LinkedIn as a key platform for doing that.
LinkedIn, yes.
But isn't that a bit ironic?
Ironic how?
Well, LinkedIn is often seen as this fast-paced networking platform.
With everyone trying to go viral and be seen.
Yeah, it's not exactly known for its slowness.
Right. But I think Justin Welsh is suggesting that we use LinkedIn more strategically as part of a long-term vision.
So it's about being intentional with how we use the platform.
Exactly. It's about building a brand and a network that are authentic to us and our goals, not just chasing vanity metrics.
So instead of just posting for the sake of posting or connecting with everyone who sends a request, we should be more deliberate about who we engage with and what we share.
Exactly. It's about building a brand and a network that are authentic to us and our goals, not just chasing vanity metrics.
That makes a lot of sense. And I'm guessing this ties into the idea of energy management that some of the commenters brought up.
Absolutely. This comment about energy management brings up a crucial point. Jim Fielding in the comments talked about how pacing the marathon means knowing how to manage energy on the road to success. This resonated with so many people because it's so true.
We often think we have to be on all the time, but that's simply not sustainable.
Right.
We all have limited energy, and it's crucial to use it wisely.
Precisely. It's like what Sajad Khan shared in the comments. Incorporating digital detox days can make a huge difference. By intentionally disconnecting and recharging, we can actually boost creativity and prevent burnout.
So it's not about becoming lazy or unproductive.
No, not at all.
It's about being more mindful of how we're using our time and energy and making sure we're not spreading ourselves too thin.
Exactly. And when we're able to do that, we create space for the things that truly matter. Our well-being, our relationships, and the work that we're passionate about.
This is really making me rethink my own approach to things.
In what way?
Well, I'm definitely guilty of trying to do too much at once and burning myself out in the process.
I think many of us can relate to that.
It's like our culture celebrates busyness and productivity as badges of honor.
It's true.
But what if slowing down and being more intentional is actually the key to achieving greater success and fulfillment in the long run?
It's a thought-provoking question, isn't it?
It is, and I'm curious to dive deeper into how this slowness actually translates into building a brand, a network, and a business.
Me too. Is it really possible to achieve those things while moving at a slower pace? I guess we'll find out.
Well, that's something we'll explore more in detail as we continue this deep dive.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so how does this slow is the new fast approach actually work when it comes to building a brand, network, and business?
Well, think of it this way. If you're building a brand and rushing it, you might end up chasing trends.
Hmm.
You might copy what everyone else is doing.
You're not really differentiating yourself.
Exactly. Or you might just be churning out content without a clear message. It's like building a house on a shaky foundation, you know?
Ooh, that's a good analogy.
It might look good at first glance, but in the long run,
It'll crumble.
exactly. But when you approach brand building with this slower, more thoughtful mindset,
You're building something that lasts.
yeah, you take the time to define your values,
Your audience.
your unique selling proposition, and you end up building a brand that is authentic to you and that resonates with the right people.
You're not trying to be everything to everyone.
Exactly. And that same principle applies to networking too.
Okay, how so?
If you're constantly rushing from event to event, just collecting business cards like trophies.
Not really connecting with anyone?
Exactly. You're not building genuine connections, which is what networking is all about.
It's about quality over quantity, right? It's not about how many people you know, but about the depth of those relationships.
Absolutely. And that's where slowing down comes in. It gives you the time to really get to know people,
To understand their needs.
to offer support, and to build relationships that are truly valuable.
And those are the connections that will open doors for you down the line.
Right. They lead to opportunities, collaborations, and even lasting friendships.
So slowing down allows you to nurture those connections, which is something that you can't really do when you're always rushing.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And let's not forget about building a business. This slow is the new fast approach applies there too.
Okay, but I mean, does that mean we have to wait years to launch a product or service?
Not necessarily. It's about prioritizing sustainable growth over quick wins.
I see.
You're playing the long game. You're building a business that is going to last.
Instead of just trying to make a quick buck.
Exactly. So would you rather build a business that explodes overnight and then fizzles out just as quickly, or one that grows steadily over time?
Well, the second one, obviously. I think we all know that slow and steady wins the race, but sometimes it's hard to resist that temptation to try to get there as fast as possible.
Oh, absolutely. But it's important to remember that we're often only seeing the highlight reel.
Especially on social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't see the years of hard work and the struggles and the pivots that went into building those successful businesses.
It's easy to get caught up in that comparison game.
Totally. But everyone's journey is different.
And there's no one right way to do it.
And that's where embracing this slow is the new fast philosophy can be really helpful.
So how do we actually apply this to building a business? What does it look like in practice?
Well, it means taking the time to really understand your market,
To validate your ideas.
to create a solid business plan. It's about testing and iterating and being willing to adjust course as needed.
So basically not being afraid to go slow, even when it feels like everyone else is moving at warp speed.
Exactly. And that takes discipline, especially in today's fast-paced world.
But it sounds like it's worth it in the long run.
I believe so. It's about making progress, not just motion. And sometimes the most significant progress happens when we slow down
When we reflect.
and we recharge.
So you're saying that sometimes slowing down can actually help us move forward faster in the long run.
I think so. It allows us to make more thoughtful decisions, build stronger relationships, and create work that is truly meaningful.
This whole idea of slow is the new fast really challenges our assumptions about success, doesn't it?
It does. It forces us to step back and ask ourselves what we truly value.
And to create a life and business that are aligned with those values.
Exactly. And that's what's so powerful about it. It's not just a business strategy, it's a philosophy for life.
And one that I think can benefit us all.
Agreed. Now, I know we've talked a lot about the benefits of slowing down, but there are also some potential challenges to consider, right? I mean, isn't there a risk of being overlooked or left behind if we're moving too slowly? Especially in the online world where everything seems to be moving at lightning speed.
That's a good point. So how do we balance this need to slow down with the demands of the modern business world?
That's where the strategic part of slow, is the new fast, comes in. You can still be visible and engaged, but you're doing it in a way that's intentional and aligned with your long-term vision.
So we're not talking about hiding away from the world.
No, not at all. It's about being mindful of your energy and making sure that every action you take is serving your goals.
So if we're not supposed to be churning out content and chasing every opportunity, how do we make sure we're still staying relevant and top of mind, especially when there's so much noise out there?
Well, that's where the strategic use of platforms like LinkedIn comes in. It's a great place to share your expertise
Yeah. To connect with others in your industry.
and to build thought leadership. But it's not about just posting randomly.
It's about quality over quantity.
Exactly. Think about providing genuine value to your audience
Engage in thoughtful conversations.
and build meaningful relationships. These are the things that will help you stand out in a crowded space.
So it's about being intentional with every interaction, every piece of content, and every decision we make.
Absolutely. It's about being present and engaged, but also being mindful of your energy. You don't want to spread yourself too thin.
I'm starting to see how this all fits together. It's about finding a pace that works for you, a pace that allows you to do your best work without burning out.
And that's different for everyone. What works for one person might not work for another.
It's about finding your own rhythm and trusting that it's okay to do things differently.
Exactly. And sometimes the most unconventional path is the one that leads to the greatest success and fulfillment.
I love how this whole concept challenges the idea that faster is always better. Sometimes slowing down is the key to moving forward.
And it's a philosophy that can be applied to all areas of our lives, not just business.
I'm really starting to see the potential here. It's about creating a life that feels good, a life that's aligned with our values.
And a life that allows us to thrive, not just survive.
I couldn't agree more. I think this is a great place to transition into the next part of our deep dive.
Sounds good to me. Yeah. Let's explore how we can take these principles and apply them to different areas of our lives in a practical way.
It's really amazing how much this idea of slow is the new fast has resonated with people.
It is. I mean, think about it. We live in a world that's constantly telling us to do more, be more, achieve more. But this idea suggests that maybe there's a better way, a more sustainable way.
Yeah, it's like a breath of fresh air, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's permission to slow down, to be more intentional, to focus on what truly matters.
And to create a life and business that actually feel good it's not about rejecting ambition or hard work altogether.
Right, it's not about being lazy.
It's about redefining what those things mean to us and finding a pace that allows us to actually thrive, not just survive.
Boy, I've not just survived. I love that.
It's about recognizing that success isn't a sprint. It's a marathon, and we can run it at our own pace.
Enjoying the journey along the way.
Exactly. But the question's, how do we actually put this into practice? It's one thing to talk about slowing down, but it's another thing entirely to actually do it.
Especially when we're surrounded by this culture that values speed and efficiency above all else.
Right. It takes a conscious effort to shift our mindset and break free from that always-on mentality.
So where do we even begin?
Well, one practical step is to start incorporating digital detox days into your routine.
Oh, yeah. Remember Sajjad Khan mentioned those in the comments on Justin's post?
You did. And they can make a huge difference.
But what does a digital detox actually look like?
It's really up to you, but the basic idea is to intentionally disconnect from technology for a set period of time.
So like turning off your phone.
Yeah. Logging out of social media.
Avoiding all screens.
Exactly. It could be for a whole day or even just a few hours.
I can see how that would be beneficial, but I also imagine it being a little bit scary at first, especially for those of us who are used to being constantly connected.
Oh, for sure. It can definitely be a challenge at first, but the benefits are so worth it.
Like what?
Well, disconnecting from the digital world allows your mind to rest and recharge. It creates space for creativity, reflection, deeper connection with yourself and the people around you.
So it's not just about being more productive, it's about improving our overall well-being.
Exactly. And another practical tip is to be more mindful of how you're spending your time and energy.
Okay, how do we do that?
Well, start by identifying your priorities, both personally and professionally.
So figure out what truly matters to us.
Yeah. And then make sure your actions are aligned with those priorities.
I see.
And once you've done that, be ruthless about saying no to anything that doesn't fit into those priorities.
So setting boundaries.
Exactly. Protecting your time and energy.
That's easier said than done sometimes.
It can be, but it's essential if you want to create space for the things that truly matter.
And it's okay to start small, right? We don't have to overhaul our entire lives overnight.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Pick one or two areas where you can start slowing down and being more intentional and go from there.
This is all making so much sense to me. I think it's something that we all need to hear, especially in today's world.
I agree. We're constantly bombarded with messages that tell us we need to do more, be more, achieve more. But what if the key to true success and fulfillment lies in doing less, but doing it better?
That's a powerful thought.
It is, isn't it?
I think it's one of the most important takeaways from this whole conversation.
I think so too. And as we wrap up this deep dive into slow is the new fast,
Yeah.
I want to leave our listeners with this thought.
Okay, I'm listening.
Remember that you have permission to slow down.
Permission to slow down?
You have permission to set boundaries. You have permission to define success on your own terms. And you have permission to create a life and a business that are truly aligned with your values.
That's a beautiful message. I think we all need to hear that every now and then.
I agree.
Well, this has been an incredible conversation. I've learned so much, and I really appreciate you taking the time to share your insights with us.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our listeners, we encourage you to keep exploring this concept. Think about what resonated with you, what challenged you, and how you might incorporate the principles of slow is the new fast into your own life. Until next time, happy diving.